Very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs in the mid-60s. Mike has today off, so we'll take a check now of the Guard State forecast right down to your town. And welcome back once again. In terms of traffic, what we have today on Route 30, take a look at this. This is flooding on Route 30 in both directions from east of Route 631, which is Illinois Avenue, to west of Route 646, Delilah Road in Absecon. The right lane of two lanes is closed. Hard to see, but you see them hitting their brake lights as they go in through the middle shot right there. We move over to Point Pleasant Beach, and what we have in Point Pleasant Beach, because of all the flooding we had down the shore in the last couple of days from the nor'easter, we have a power failure now reported on Route 35 southbound by Route 635 Broadway in Point Pleasant Beach. All lanes are open there, but you can see they do have some emergency crews on the scene. So if you're down in Point Pleasant Beach, you know somebody down there or somebody who decided, you know what, I'll take advantage of the still mild weather and go down, and they got caught in the nor'easter. That's what they're encountering right now. In terms of the Hudson River crossings, if you take a look at the Lincoln or Holland tunnels, both approaches pretty good right now. Actually, today they're light, only a 20-minute crossover time. We switch over to the GWB, and the GWB, of course, the camera's not behaving this morning, but the GWB approach right now, upper and lower levels are also pretty good. We're told about 25 minutes, which for this hour is not so bad, and that's your crossover time into Manhattan via the George Washington Bridge. 7:04 is our time, and finally, we may have peace in the Middle East, a huge accomplishment spearheaded by President Trump using the power and influence of the United States. As of this morning, there is a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, initiating a crucial phase of negotiations and prisoner exchanges. Hamas began releasing innocent Israeli hostages that were held in Gaza yesterday, while Israel is freeing thousands of Palestinian detainees. The difference is the Palestinian detainees were murderers, rapists, bombers, etc. They were genuine convicted criminals. The Israeli hostages were simply innocent people living in their home. This is not trying to paint a good versus bad picture. Think about that. The Palestinians we're talking about, these were not people who the Israelis went in and swept up out of their homes and locked up. These were people who came into Israel, murdered people, shot people, bombed people, raped people, and were convicted in legal courts. Those people have been released by the number of 2,000 by the Israeli government back to Palestine. The Palestinians, there is no official Palestine, the Gaza Strip, the Gazans. And the people of Gaza released a few living hostages back to Israel, and they were supposed to give 20 some odd dead bodies, and they can't find them now. So technically, they're in violation of the accord, which means that if Israel wants, it can go in and flatten the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, if they want to, because Hamas technically is already in violation. They had promised all this time. They're so disorganized and such a mess. They kept telling the Israelis they had such and such number of bodies. Turns out they don't. So now they have to try to scramble to find them, or else they're in violation. It's just unbelievable. And the idea that anybody is pro-Palestinian Gaza, blah, 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 when this is what Gaza is, folks. This is, by the way, all you Queers for Palestine people, they're responsible for killing thousands of gay people because they're gay. Thousands, but yet you're a Queer for Palestine. I will pay you $10,000 if you go over to the Gazan area and you tell them you're gay and you are Queers for Palestine. If you could come back alive and you could prove you were there, I'll give you $10,000. How about that, Queers for Palestine? You go ahead and do that. Come back alive. Try it. Scenes of emotional reunions unfolded, offering a moment of relief after years of conflict and separation. Check out these videos.
אתה בבית! אתה בבית! אתה בבית! אתה בבית!
Now imagine those people never thought they'd come out alive. Their family members never thought they would survive. They were kept in dark, filthy tunnels with bombs going off above their heads. Remember, these are people who were just in their homes. They were in their beds sleeping. And Hamas soldiers, thugs, came in, broke in with guns and put them to their heads. Many of them were witnesses to their own families getting raped and murdered, their babies getting their heads cut off in front of them. And then they were swept up and taken to another land for doing nothing. They were sleeping in their beds. And they were kept in dank conditions. They were beaten. They weren't fed, or they were fed food with bugs in it. And they survived somehow. They are the true survivors. It was like a concentration camp many decades later. And yet there are kids, stupid college kids in the liberal socialist cities in America shouting for Gaza, Gaza, having no idea, from the river to the sea, having no idea what the frig you're talking about. You have no idea. Even Arab countries around Gaza want nothing to do with these people. Egypt, at one point, took in Gazans and the people of Palestine. I put in air quotes because there is no nation of Palestine. And then that caused nothing but nightmares. Jordan took them in. It caused nothing but nightmares. The surrounding countries want nothing to do with the people there. Yet the people here have been brainwashed by money that came directly from Iran. If you don't believe that, they could trace, the federal government has traced this money. It goes directly to the government of Iran. So all you idiot protesters who go up there wrapping yourselves with the flag of Palestine, and somebody comes and throws money in your pocket for coming out for your hard work, that money comes from the Iranian government. And Iran, by the way, gets financed by Russia. So that's the way it works. You're an idiot. You are a useful idiot being used by these leftist radicals who kill people. Think about that. That's what you are responsible for. 7:10 is our time. Tensions between the U.S. and China are escalating, albeit just a little bit, after President Trump threatened a 100% tariff on all Chinese imports. The move came after China tightened restrictions on rare earth exports. Despite the aggressive posture, Trump later posted a little bit more conciliatory message on social media. China responded firmly, urging the U.S. to, quote, correct its erroneous practices or face retaliatory measures. Ooh, we're scared. In reality, China actually needs the U.S. much more than we need them right now. They need the money. They don't have the money. China is on the verge of financial collapse. And the U.S. has succeeded in painting China into a corner by using diplomacy. See, we got the rest of the world buying stuff from us now, not them, and they don't have the income. Plus, by the way, people say, but we need the rare earth minerals. Well, rare earth minerals are not exclusive to China. They're everywhere on the planet. We just happen to have lots of them in the U.S. that they're difficult to get to because it takes tons and tons and tons of earth to find a little tiny bit of rare earth. That's why it's called rare earth minerals. So you have to excavate half of a mountainside to find a little bit of lithium, but we can do it. So we do not need China for it. And they know that. That's why there hasn't been World War III. So everybody who says, look, Bush is getting us into a conflict with China, stop clutching your pearls. 7:11 is our time. As the Democrat Schumer-caused government shutdown continues, President Trump ordered the Pentagon to use emergency funds to ensure that troops get paid on time. Listen up.
And I want you to know that despite the current Democrat-induced shutdown, we will get our service members every last penny. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. It's all coming. It's coming. And even more because I'm supporting the across-the-board pay raises for every sailor and service member of the United States Armed Forces.
So this will all be over as it always is within a week or two, and they're going to get any back pay that they weren't given before, and they're getting a raise. So everybody, all the liberals who are trying to make it look like this is a Republican shutdown, which it's not, the gag is out. Everybody knows this. This is a game you liberals have been playing for about 20 years. You think Schumer is from old school. He's from the 1970s and 80s. He thinks old school works. It doesn't work anymore because we have something called the internet, Chuck. The internet. We could look at history. Senate, by the way, is expected to reject the latest funding bill because of the Democrats. For those of you saying, but the Republicans are in charge of the Senate. When you have a spending bill, a funding bill, you need 60 votes, and there are only 53 Republicans. So in order for any spending bill to pass the Senate, you have to have 7 or 6 votes plus the Senate president, who would be Vice President Vance. You have to have 6 or 7 Democrats in the Senate to go along with the Republicans. And the Democrats are in lockstep. They refuse. I believe only Fetterman he's the only one willing to come over. So then technically you need 5 or 6 more Democrats. They refuse to come over because of Schumer. He threatens them behind the scenes and says, here, let me do my Schumer. If you do this, if you vote for this, then you will not get any bill passed ever. That's my Chuck Schumer. And believe me, I know the man. That's what he said to them. Trust me. I don't know firsthand, but having known the man and spoken to him many times over the years privately, that's what he said. So these other Democrat senators, they're not stupid, especially these stupid liberal shills from New Jersey like Cory Booker and Andy Kim, who's like a little communist, quiet guy from China who kept his mouth shut when he got elected. Everyone says, well, Andy Kim is moderate. No, he's not. He's as far left as any communist who ever was hidden in this country. So it looks like they're going to refuse to sign a measure that would extend the Biden-era spending plan. Think about that. 2 weeks ago, the Biden-era spending plan that we were all living on, the Democrats all signed on to that, right? They were fine with that. Now that we want to extend it 2 or 3 weeks so that we can continue negotiating, they don't want to extend it. What was the plan you voted on? Suddenly it's no good, huh? No, they want to shut down the government, and they think they could blame Republicans when every Republican voted for the current spending plan or the extension. Every Republican voted for the extension. Only the 5 Democrats voted against it in the Senate. So this shutdown is 100% the fault of Chuck Schumer. Vice President Vance said military members will keep getting paid using unused R&D, research and development funds, and incoming tax revenues. Meanwhile, mass layoffs from federal agencies have hit special education services and the CDC hard. So all the leftist government agencies, those people are not going to come back to work, Democrats, and it's on you. They're going to be laid off, and it's all on you. A federal appeals court has rejected the Trump administration's attempt to deploy National Guard troops to Illinois. The move was intended to support federal agents amid protests, but a judge ruled the deployment was not justified. However, that judge did vote in a certain way in favor of Republicans, saying that the Illinois National Guard did not have to be kicked out. Just go back to your barracks until we figure out what a higher court says. Democratic governors have pushed back on federal efforts to send troops without state approval. The Trump administration, though, does have the right to declare an insurrection in those cities, thus giving Trump, they love that word, insurrection, right? Thus giving Trump constitutional powers to send in the National Guard wherever the hell he wants, and no district court judge can say a thing. 7:15, Lieutenant Governor Tahitian Way, the acting governor, as Governor Murphy was away the last few days, and we don't know where he was, declared a statewide state of emergency from Friday through yesterday ahead of the coastal storm that slammed New Jersey. The nor'easter brought high winds, over 6 inches of rain, and significant flooding, especially down the shore. Residents were told to avoid travel. I believe we have video of this, Pam, if you have it. Residents were told to avoid travel, monitor for updates, and follow evacuation guidance. The emergency declaration enabled rapid deployment of state resources and personnel. Unfortunately, it forced the cancellation of the Morris County Columbus Day Parade Saturday and the New York City Columbus Day Parade yesterday. Neither parade has a rain date. And utility repair crews at the ready yesterday as the storm knocked out power to more than 6,500 homes. High winds and up to 62-mile-an-hour heavy rains led to coastal flooding and dangerous travel conditions. As of this morning, utility companies are reporting over 2,700 outages remaining in JCP&L areas alone. The National Weather Service says gusty winds will ease through the day. And finally, over 3,200 people have been arrested in New Jersey by ICE since President Trump took office, one of the highest state tolls in the country. Nationwide, arrests have reached nearly 138,000. Of course, it's going to be higher here because this is a sanctuary state. So this is where the illegals come, because they know they're going to be allowed to do whatever they want. DHS is pushing for 1 million deportations a year or more, backed by $170 billion in new funding they received. Local officials are raising concerns over plans to use Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst for mass deportations, something that, by the way, was done with no complaints from the left during the Obama administration. They took in Haitian refugees, kept them there for a little bit, and then deported them all. They were all kept at Fort Dix, and there was never a complaint by the left. And a 16-year-old boy from Jackson Township has died following a head-on crash Wednesday night. Police say a Ford F-150 crossed into oncoming traffic, colliding with the teen's Nissan Altima, which then caught fire. The teen was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead shortly thereafter. 2 other people suffered minor injuries, and the cause of that crash remains under investigation. Some good news about drones. A New Jersey family was rescued from a dangerous rip current using a drone. The family had been swept out to sea, and emergency crews immediately deployed a drone to deliver a flotation device. It would have been too dangerous for a rescue boat to go out. All members of the family were safely pulled from the water with no serious injuries. That is an amazing use of a drone. Officials say the successful rescue highlights how new tech is saving lives. And the Food and Drug Administration has given clearance to yet another blood test to help assess Alzheimer's disease and other causes of cognitive decline, providing a broader understanding of when the disease can be ruled out. Roche Diagnostics, formerly from Nutley, New Jersey, said yesterday that its Elexis p-tau 181 test, developed in collaboration with Eli Lilly, could be used by doctors to help identify patients who are, quote, unlikely to have Alzheimer's disease. So you hear this? This is to rule out Alzheimer's, but it's a simple blood test, so they can see if you just have a little cognitive decline, a little dementia, or actual Alzheimer's. Those with a positive result would be recommended for further testing. So it gives doctors another diagnostic tool. The test is intended for adults 55 and older in the United States showing signs or symptoms of cognitive decline. It's estimated that 2 in 5 people or more over the age of 55 in the U.S., it's about 42%, will develop dementia in their later years. And about 92% of adults with mild cognitive impairment may go undiagnosed. This test is the second blood-based biomarker test to receive FDA clearance for Alzheimer's disease this year. The first was biotech company Fuji Rebio's LumaPulse test, which got the green light in May. It is 54 degrees now. It's 7:19, mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
I'm Jack Chiarelli, born and raised right here in New Jersey, where it's never been harder for middle class. As governor, I have a plan to fix our state. In Congress, the only thing Mikey Sherrill fixed is her bank account.
Well, did you make $7 million in stock trades at all? Or?
I haven't. I don't believe I did. I'd have to go see what that was alluding to again.
Come on, who wouldn't know if they made $7 million? New Jersey needs a governor who gets it. Mikey Sherrill doesn't. I do.
We vote to protect the Social Security we worked hard for. We vote because family caregivers deserve support. We vote to have a say in our future. For all the reasons why, AARP has information about when, where, and how to vote. Find the information you need to make your voice heard.
Hello, welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:21. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s. Mike has a day off, but here is an electronic check of the Garden State forecast right down to your town. And in terms of traffic right now, we have a crash on 295 northbound north of exit 30, which is Warwick Road in Longside. The left shoulder and right shoulder both closed. You can get through in the middle, though. Let's go over to 280 if we can, Pam. This is I-280. There we go. What that is. That's a crash on I-280 westbound by I-80 in Parsippany Troy Hills Township. All lanes are open, but take a look at the brake checking now. Quite heavy as you go through that area. We also have down wires on 179 in both directions north of Route 603 Mount Airy Village Road in West Amwell Township. All lanes are closed. And a power failure on Route 35 southbound at 635 Broadway in Point Pleasant Beach. All lanes are open. That's from all the flooding that we had over the last couple of days from the nor'easter. Delays now on Route 4 eastbound from east of Jones Road in Englewood to Route 9W Fort Lee. All lanes are open, but very heavy. We take a look at the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland both pretty good at 20 minutes. This is the GWB approach right now, 895 approach, a different camera angle showing how heavy things are. We're told about a 30 to 35 minute crossover time right now into Manhattan. 7:25 is our time, and the leftist state government in Oregon is officially spending more per year on health care for illegal aliens than they spend on the Oregon State Police. That according to their own state officials and budget documents. Oregon officials expect to spend $1.5 billion in combined state and federal taxpayer dollars on a program that offers health benefits to illegal aliens between 2025 and 2027. They expect to spend $717 million during that same time, half the amount, on Oregon State Police over that same period. The state's health agency, known as the Oregon Health Authority, said the state expects to allocate $1.2 billion of state money to the program, originally named Cover All People. It's now called Healthier Oregon Program. The federal government pays about 25% of the funding to provide health benefits to illegal aliens in Oregon. So all this time, Democrats in the Senate have been saying not one penny of federal money will go to fund health care for illegal aliens. They said it over and over again. When asked directly, they said, Schumer put the glasses down on the nose and said, no, illegals do not. The Republicans know it's a lie that illegals do not get funded for health care. They don't. Meanwhile, it's in Oregon's law. It says it in the law that they wrote that 25% of the money from the federal government goes to fund illegals in the state of Oregon. So what part of that do you not believe? Either Chuck Schumer's lying or Oregon is lying. One of them is lying. It's a fact. Meanwhile, the Republicans are simply asking for what's called a clean CR or continuing resolution that would keep the government open while continuing to use the identical budget already approved by Democrats previously under the Biden administration, but they want to keep the federal government shut. This week with George Stephanopoulos, host, left-wing butt kisser, and former Clinton administration advisor George Stephanopoulos, showed his thin skin Sunday when he tried to throw a curveball at Vice President Vance, accusing border czar Tom Homan of discussing taking a bribe while he was still a private citizen years ago. Vance wasn't going to let little Georgie win the gotcha game, so he responded hard, and little 4'11" Georgie abruptly ended the interview. He can dish it out, but he sure can't take it. Check this out.
I don't know what tape you're referring to, George. I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You're focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
No, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
Ooh, Georgie got a little touchy there. Georgie, you see he was all quivery and nervous and mad. George has a thin skin. And by the way, if you look it up online, it says he's 5'7". I've stood next to him when I worked over at Channel 7. He's not that tall. He's about 4'11". Little Georgie, who makes way too much money, but yet he's jealous of the fact that Robin Roberts makes double his salary, and he's never been happy about that. Georgie is upset that he's trying to say that Tom Homan is accused. It's a rumor online. It's not ever been confirmed. It's a rumor that there was a video, an undercover video, when Tom Homan was a private citizen, not a government employee. And he was allegedly, this is the accusation, he was allegedly approached by undercover, and you have to ask why this happened too, undercover FBI agents and videotaped being offered a bribe of $50,000. For what? Who knows? Because what could he do? He was a private citizen. He was not in any administration. President Trump, in the polls at the time, he was running for president. In the polls, President Trump was way behind Biden at the time. It wasn't even Kamala Harris. He was way behind. And there was no evidence that Holman was going to be selected for anything. So Holman is just a private citizen. So number one, why would anyone offer him money for any purpose, any quid pro quo? Number two, why, if that was the case, why the FBI decided to go to Tom Holman and approach Tom Holman and offer him money? Unless the FBI was fishing for something, what was the FBI under the great administration of Mr. Biden? Why was the FBI fishing Republican circles? There is so much dirt that the FBI was doing illegally. There's no question. Now, as it's getting uncovered by Kash Patel and the Justice Department, people on the left are screaming like stuck pigs. You just wait to see how much more is coming out. But the point is, Tom Holman is on every TV show. If Georgie Porgy Stephanopoulos wanted to ask Tom Holman, he could have invited Tom Holman on. No, you have the Vice President of the United States. Think about it. If he had Kamala Harris, would he have ever treated Kamala Harris with the disrespect that he treated Trump and Vance with? Snuffleupagus worked for Clinton. He was a special advisor. In fact, he created the Bimbo eruption tour to hide the press from getting any information from Clinton. Yet ABC News thinks he's neutral somehow. Really? And this guy, an arch leftist who hates anything to the right of Mao Zedong, he has the Vice President of the United States in front of him, and he asks him about a rumor that he read on the internet, which the FBI does not acknowledge happened at all. And it's a rumor that anyone can make up. And here, have Tom Holman on. Ask Tom Holman face to face, because then you'll have a record, Georgie Porgy, of Tom Holman denying that it happened. But no, you don't do that. Instead, you have Vice President on and you try to be disrespectful to the Vice President. And then the second the Vice President calls you out, the fact that your ratings are half of what they were 5 years ago, and he calls you out on carpet, he calls you out, and then you're like a little wussy, you know what, I have to watch my mouth, and you cut him off. You're such a wuss. Stephanopoulos doesn't deserve a penny of what he gets. He doesn't pull the rating. 2 million people. It's not my opinion. It's the ratings. 2 million people watch your show a week. About 10 years ago, there were about 6 million people. So that's where Georgie Porgy Stephanopoulos Snuffleupagus has taken the ratings. 2 million people now watching on a Sunday out of a country of 340 million. 2 million. I don't know how to even market that. We probably have that many viewers. And we're on New Jersey mornings. So good luck with that. 7:32, and we're going to go to break here. So 7:32 right now, it is 54 degrees. Later this morning, you can join us for our special guest, New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Chiarelli in our 8 o'clock hour. And when we come back, Eric, the travel guy Hastings, will join us with top travel spots for millennials this fall. The phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy, light breeze today, highs mid-60s. The full Garden State forecast in your neighborhood when we come back. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
Bergen Equestrian in Leonia is the top destination for horse riding, lessons, and exceptional horse boarding facilities on over 23 acres in Overbeck Park. Bergen Equestrian has programs for people of all ages and skill sets, indoor and outdoor riding areas, and riding lounge. Riders can compete in horse shows and special events. Bergen Equestrian offers horse boarding and rentals, seasonal kids camps, and more. Consider Bergen Equestrian for unforgettable memories with kids' birthday parties, private events, weddings, and school trips. Visit BergenEquestrian.com.
Good morning to you. It is 54 degrees, 7:34 now, Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Mostly cloudy today with a light breeze, highs mid-60s. Mike has the day off. Here's an electronic check of the Garden State forecast right down to your town. And now, in terms of traffic, we have a lot of it. Take a look at this video. This is we're going to start with the 295 camera, Pam. This is I-295 by exit 30. So I-295 just north of exit 30, we have a crash. This is by Warwick Road in Lawnside. The left shoulder and right shoulder both closed. You can see the brake checking right there. And then if you take a look at this shot, this is, let's tell you first, there's another accident on 295 northbound, north of exit 25, Route 47 in Delsey Drive in Westville. The right shoulder is closed. Now, the reason we had the previous accident is the following. There's a crash on 195. You see that right there? So that is 195 just east of Route 130 Hamilton Township with the left lane closed. So that is causing the residual delays for the people getting off on 295, which was the last shot that we just saw. Just an absolute mess. We have another issue, which Pam I know she has to pull up the 76 to 295, if you could, Pam. So this is on the 295 tour, Pam. We'll show you what's happening. This is as you make your way down toward Philadelphia on 295 by the I-76 interchange. You'll see we have very heavy traffic right now, and that is caused by a crash off on the right shoulder. Do we have it, Pam? It's on the 295 tour. You go on the 295 tour, go down to I-76 westbound. Sorry. All the way down. Okay, nonetheless. All right, so we have that. Nonetheless, we have that incident. And then we have a crash also on a power failure crash on Route 35 southbound at Broadway and Point Pleasant Beach. All lanes are open, and that is due to all the rain that we've had, the nor'easter in the last couple of days. In terms of your Hudson River approaches, you have 25 minutes now at the Lincoln's, 20 minutes at the Holland. GWB approach is very heavy, as you can see. We do have our camera back. It was hiding from us a little while ago, but right now you're talking about a 35-minute crossover time at Manhattan, upper and lower levels on the 8095 approach. 7:38 is our time, and everyone's looking for a travel bargain, but how do you know what is best for you, huh? How do you know? If you are a millennial, that is the big question, because millennials always want a deal, such a deal. Well, there's a cluster of 5 fall travel destinations that will not break the bank. Eric the Travel Guy Hastings of erictravelguy.com. That's Eric with a K. Mom decided to get clever. A good idea.
Right.
Host of the PBS and YouTube video travel series Beyond Your Backyard. Eric is here with the list. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning. That's clever with a K, just so we're all clear with a K.
Love it, buddy. So there is a list of 5 affordable travel destinations that millennials seem to love. Can we go through that list if we can? The first is the Great Lakes region, the Michigan and Wisconsin area, but with the beautiful fall foliage, the upper Michigan Peninsula. People always think about that just in this summer, but that's so pretty right now, right?
It's so pretty that time of year. You've got the fall foliage, of course. You know, people in the Northeast always say we have the best fall foliage up here. We have great fall foliage, don't get me wrong. However, in other parts of the country, especially in the north and the central portion of the country, you'll find great fall foliage. And one of the places I happen to like up in Michigan is Mackinac Island. I happen to like Frankenmuth. Those are places. The largest Christmas store in the world is in Frankenmuth, Michigan. And yes, there's only one, and it will be very difficult for me to give it any justice whatsoever because it is simply an amazing place to visit. So when you hop a flight and then go to Detroit and rent a car and start driving north, you will run into these little towns. And, you know, Michigan, the same thing with Wisconsin. You know, I love going and discovering these little places off the beaten path. Now, to some people, that sounds like vacation death. To others, it sounds like bliss. So again, it's all a matter of what is interesting to you. Travel's very personal, Ken. We've talked about that many times.
Yes, and talking about the fall foliage, because we have the nor'easter, a lot of the trees are now bare because they got the leaves ripped off them here, so you feel cheated. We don't have the last couple of years we had some brilliant reds and whatnot. That's not going to happen for much of our area now because the leaves are off the trees. But if you go there, the leaves are still in brilliant color. That's a perfect time to check, right? So that's a good place to check. A friend of mine who lives, he's on the show all the time, Dave Bundy, is in Michigan, and that's his favorite thing in the world. He loves Michigan for doing that. Now, also, let's go from the U.S. to an affordable travel destination a lot of people don't think about is Hungary, Budapest, with the beautiful fall foliage there along the Danube.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Again, now we're starting to talk about where we get into an area when we go over the pond Now we start to get into an area of, is it really a deal? And so I thought this morning, Ken, we would talk about these places because, again, Budapest is an excellent destination to go and visit. It would be what I would consider to be a second tier in terms of popularity. So you're not seeing the massive crowds you would see in, perhaps also on this list, Malaga, Spain. That's another, perfect, the Costa del Sol down there and in Spain. And that's one of the places that, again, depending upon what you are looking for, what I thought we would do today is talk about three major costs of a vacation, because you can dial up and dial down based on your preferences. Because, Ken, you and I have talked many times about how people are always looking for a deal, when in fact, I go a different way with the vacations. I go with instead of looking for a deal, obviously you should be looking for value. But I say spend a couple extra dollars on your vacation. Save while you're at home. Vacation is where you want to splurge. And that's something that we talk a lot about in terms of the three major costs of vacation. You could probably do this with me, which is transportation, right?
I'm
Accommodations,
doing it.
and then what are you going to do while you're there? That's right.
Right.
So look at a place. Here's a great example. Look at a place like Orlando. I have a lot of experience down here. We talk a lot about it down here. It's a major tourist place in the world, and it's very easy and very inexpensive to get to from, well, pretty much anywhere in the United States, right? You can also find very clean, four-star hotel, very reasonably priced. But if you want to go to Universal, if you want to go to Disney, it's $200, $300 a day per person. So what you're going to do down here can be extremely expensive. So look at those three things. I think Malaga is a perfect example. Look, you can go to Malaga, Spain, nonstop. Now, nonstop is seasonal service in the summertime. So in other parts of the year, from New York, you have to do one stop for about $1,000 for two people. That's pretty inexpensive considering you're going to another part of the world. Same thing with the hotels. You could pick up a hotel for 120, 150 bucks a night. If you're there for 5 nights, there's another $1,000. So you could probably do that Spain trip, two people, off peak season, even shoulder season, for about $3,000 or less.
And there's also, for those who want to stay in the States. Now, we mentioned Costa del Sol, Spain. We took that in, so that's the Malaga that we're showing right now. But you mentioned the other options. If you're a runner, it may be too late now. It is too late to join the New York City Marathon. But if you're a runner and you want to observe it, the marathon weekend's coming up. It's Sunday, November 2nd, in a couple of weeks. In fact, I'm going to be covering it live on WORM 710. Hope you'll catch us. But the marathon is a great thing to check out, and people are going to be in town. It's an exciting time. People are always happy, and then you can find a hotel. You don't have to stay at the expensive downtown hotels. There are some hotel bargains to be found in Manhattan.
There are, and especially if you understand the geography of Manhattan, those of us that are have lived there for so long, you understand you don't always have to stay right in the middle of the action. In fact, those hotel rooms are gone. So, and if they're still there, they're so incredibly expensive, I wouldn't stay there, because the very next weekend it'll be half the price they are on race weekends. That's something to always consider when you're doing your travel research. And say Malaga, for instance, we say, oh my gosh, I would like to go to Malaga. And dial it up, and the only time that we're available is the exact same time when the Malaga, I don't care, fruit and wine festival is going on, and every hotel room is taken in that part of Spain. And so you say, oh my gosh, hotels are really expensive. Well, they will be on big event weekends and big event weeks, Grand Prix, etc., tulip festivals, etc., etc., etc.
And one last one I want to throw out there. You did want to get on a plane and fly over, because right now Europe tends to be a little less expensive for the warm weather destinations. This is now North Africa, Marrakesh, Morocco, which in this, the spring and whatnot could be very expensive, or the early summer. Fall flights tend to be more affordable at $500 per person to get over to Marrakesh. And Marrakesh is a cool place to visit.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And as a matter of fact, since we talk about Malaga, I think that's to me, that's a great trip. See, I would go to Malaga, and I would fly Malaga because it's got the fourth largest airport in Spain. So it's a huge airport, plenty of easy ways to get there on tap or whatever. And then I would go to the Rock of Gibraltar. I would go to Tangiers. I might take the train and maybe go to Sevilla or Cordoba, or maybe even as far as major metropolitan cities in Spain as well. So I like trips like that. But again, for some people, that sounds like a colossal pain in the you know what? Because now you're
Tushy,
dragging
tushy.
your stuff, tushy. I love that. All over Europe. Now you're dragging it just like, well, you probably overpacked. Or so you got some issues to deal with. That's why, once again, I always say it's what you want to do, what you're comfortable with. But I also suggest you step out of your comfort zone just a little bit on each one of those vacations.
Yeah, it's always good to go traveling with somebody else who is a little different from you, because you'll each push each other to try stuff you may not otherwise do. Eric the Travel Guy Hastings of ericthetravelguy.com. That's Eric the K, and host of the PBS and YouTube video travel series Beyond Your Backyard, and owner of the Speakeasy Murder and Other Acts of Prohibition Dinner Theater in Orlando, Florida, or as we call it, Orlando, Florida. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Yes.
Thank you, as always.
You got it. Wow. See you in Marrakesh. Thanks. It is 7:47 right now. We have 54 degrees. Join us for special guest New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli in our 8 o'clock hour. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s. And we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. And welcome back to On Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:48. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today, light breeze, highs in the mid-60s. Mike has the day off, but we will check electronically with your Garden State forecast right down to your town. Welcome back at 7:50 right now. In terms of traffic, take a look at this mess we have on the Garden State Parkway. There is a disabled vehicle on the GSP southbound. This is south of exit 136, Stiles Street in Cranford Township. The right lane is blocked, and look at the mess As a result, it looks like you have some vehicles off to the left, construction vehicles possibly there. Nonetheless, that's causing about 1.5 miles of slowdowns on the Garden State Parkway, again by 136. We have down wires on Route 179, both directions north of County Road 603, Mount Airy Village Road, West Amwell Township, with all lanes closed right now. We have a crash on 195 eastbound at Route 130 in Hamilton Township with the left lane, 2 lanes closed. Crash on 280 westbound by I-80 in Parsippany Troy Hills. All lanes open, but it's very heavy through there as a result. And there is a power failure down the shore. In fact, there are several they're dealing with now. This one is on Route 35 southbound by Broadway in Point Pleasant Beach. All lanes are open, but because of all the flooding there over the last few days, there are a couple of power outages to watch out for. The Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland both reporting 25 to 30 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels now somewhat slow, especially on the upper level on the right, lower on the left. We're talking 35 to 40 minutes across into Manhattan. 7:51 is our time right now, and the Tom Coughlin J Fund marked 30 years of helping families tackle childhood cancer with its annual Champions for Children Gala. The folks here at ONNJ, New Jersey, Lisa Marie Fallow, is there for the celebration with a special co-host by her side.
Hi, I'm Lisa Marie Felbo.
And I'm Kaylee Wan.
And we're here at the 21st Annual Tom Coughlin J Fund Champions for Children Gala. We're here at Pier 60 interviewing the night's A-list attendees. It was an unforgettable evening as the Tom Coughlin J Fund celebrated 30 years of helping families tackle childhood cancer and 21 years of the incredible Champions for Children Gala. From Giants greats to ESPN executives and families whose lives have been forever changed by the J Fund's mission, the night was filled with hope, heart, and gratitude.
I think what really happens is people listen to the mission, to be there for families who have a child with cancer. Until you experience it, everybody knows someone or is affected in some way, every family, by cancer. But cancer to a child, very, very, very difficult.
Among this year's honorees was ESPN Chairman Jimmy Pitaro, who spoke about how deeply the J Fund's mission resonates.
ESPN has really been committed to this cause for many years. It long predates my arrival at ESPN, but I have the good fortune of being able to continue to make the investment, continue to motivate our employees to give back, and there's nothing better than this cause, the fight against pediatric cancer, raising money to contribute towards research and support for not just the children but also their families. It's an incredible cause, and it's a thrill and an honor to be a part of it.
Another honoree, St. John's men's basketball coach Rick Pitino, reflected on what the evening meant to him.
Great to support Tom Coughlin. Tom was an assistant coach at Syracuse when I was Jim Boeheim's first assistant coach at Syracuse.
Oh, wow.
And we used to play half-court basketball like 3 times a week.
I love that. Total full circle moment all around.
Yes, very much so.
But for me, one of the brightest parts of the evening was reconnecting with Kaylee, a J Fund recipient from Fair Lawn I first met at last year's gala. Back then, I interviewed her about her decorated New York Giants locker, a symbol of her strength as she battled osteosarcoma, a rare bone cancer. This year, the tables turned, and Kaylee joined me as my co-host. Together, we took to the red carpet, sharing laughs, interviewing guests, and celebrating a night full of heart and hope.
Pizza or garlic bread?
Oh, I've got to go with pizza, Kaylee. I'm a pizza guy.
Comedy or horror?
Definitely comedy. I'm afraid if I watch a horror movie or show, I don't sleep days.
Oh, I like a good comedy. Keep it light. Keep it light for me.
Which Giants player makes you laugh?
Oh, boy. Well, when I was coach here, Richie Soyber used to make me laugh. After I cried first, then I left.
What is your favorite Sesame Street character?
Mine, Cookie Monster.
I can co-sign on that, right?
That's a good answer.
Right?
Yeah. She can do Can you do a Cookie Monster voice?
Starbucks or Dunkin'?
I can't have caffeine. Are you crazy? I would say Dunkin' because of the donuts.
Show us your best ballet move.
My best ballet move? Well, I don't know if I have one, but here we go.
I can do a ballet move. Okay.
Wow, and high heels and everything. How much fun did you have co-hosting the blue carpet with me today?
It was the best time ever.
You're so sweet. What's your favorite moment? What was your favorite interview?
With Lolly.
Lolly rocked, I have to admit. Thank you, Kaylee. You can co-host with me anytime you wish.
Okay.
A room filled with champions. It was Kaylee who reminded us what true strength looks like. Joyful, fearless, and full of hope. From New Jersey, I'm Lisa Marie Faldo.
Very sweet story. It is 7:56. Hey, are you addicted to your cell phone? What happens when constant cell phone use starts to hurt more than it helps? Well, Nick Podlow is the founder and CEO of Sophros Recovery to talk about why smartphone addiction is becoming a real behavioral health concern, what schools and parents can do about it. Good morning, Nick. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Good to be on.
Why is smartphone overuse similar to a behavioral health issue?
I mean, I think the first thing you have to do is think about like what is addiction, right? Addiction is taking shortcuts to those like brain chemicals that we like so much, the serotonin, the dopamine, the norepinephrine. And so whether it's an addiction to substances or a process addiction like food, gambling, cell phone, regardless of what it is, it's still kind of playing on the same neurochemistry and the same mechanisms in the brain that tend to affect us in those same ways.
And most New Jersey schools have now done something about it, right? Most of them are now locking up student cell phones bell to bell, they call it, so from the beginning of the school day to the end. But as recently as last year, most schools did not do that. So what led up to it? Why do you think that's so important?
Well, I think we see a rise in a couple things. So the first thing I mentioned, which is this like impact on the brain and like, similar characteristics to some other addictions. The second thing that we're seeing, and it's obviously been in the news a lot, which is this, the environment in which children interact in social media, gives this cloak of anonymity. And so you see this rise of kind of cyberbullying and even just the perception that everyone's doing better than they are. We all know we paint a rosy picture, and so for kids that can be especially damaging because they don't have all of the thought processes that we do, saying, okay, well, I'm going to discount that because I know it's not real. I know that's not their real life. They think everyone's doing better than me. Why am I so sad when everyone else is so happy? And so you see, and then of course distraction in the classroom, which is the obvious one.
Yeah, and in the videos that are so well produced and slick, and the lighting and the color is perfect, and everybody looks perfect, you know that there were 500 takes, or maybe they don't know. That's the problem. That there were 500 takes beforehand to make it just right. Even some of the basketball shots where the guy just buzzed that, boom, gets it in. That might be 4,600 takes later before they got that. But what you see on TV is not necessarily what you get. I know personally that I have gone out of the house on occasion and not had my cell phone with me, and you get into panic attack mode. And we've gotten to a point where we feel that we can't survive without our cell phones with us. At that point, is this a problem?
It is, and what you're feeling, what you're reacting to is like very natural from the brain, right? As I mentioned, you get these hits of dopamine and serotonin. So there's this whole kind of score that's being kept by your brain of like, oh, I need my little bump of what's not a substance, but now this phone use, and that phone use gives us a little bit of a bump, like whether it's like smoking a cigarette or whether it's, gambling or whatever it is, we're not getting that rush. And so our brain is like, hey, wait, what you need that, like go back and get that. And it's scary when we think about how, dependent we are, not just on our daily needs and like trying to use a Google map to get somewhere, but also in keeping our brain in the state in which it's used to being.
What signs rather should parents and teachers look for if a student is over dependent on their phone? Is there a specific time or some kind of a sign that student gives when a parent or a teacher should say, whoa, 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 we got a problem here?
I mean, I think limiting time is the easiest way to do it, right? Because that's the thing that you can add controls on and you can measure. Things that are a little harder that I would suggest looking at are things like, are we seeing challenges with mental health? are we getting connection in the real world with other people, with going out, are we going outside, are we getting some of these natural sources of dopamine and serotonin, which we get from being outdoors, which we get from hanging out with other people? Because our brain, once it starts to rely on these synthetic sources like a cell phone, it kind of withdraws from that. And so a lot of times what you'll see is you'll see isolation, you'll see increases in depression, you'll see decreases in attention span, things like that.
And you talk about digital detox and emotional resilience. What do those look like in practice?
They mean time without your phone, right? What are the times that we set apart that we say, hey, I'm going to go back to some of these more natural sources. I'm going to go back to establishing some human connection, whether that's, hey, we don't use our phone at the dinner table as a start, right? Or whether it's, we're going to spend a Saturday and we're not going to be on our phones. And I think it's just so important that we model that as parents as well, because we can say, hey, you shouldn't be on your phone so much. And meanwhile, we're on our phone doing our thing. And it's like, that seems very incongruent to the child. And so I think that, having these family times where we say, hey, this is no cell phone time, regardless of what happens, like I'm taking an hour, nothing's going to happen in this hour on my phone that I can't address in an hour. And so we start to allow that space for our brain to reset and for us to establish real in-person connection.
And for parents who want to start setting better boundaries without starting a battle, should they just reach some kind of compromise? Like, if you do this, then we'll give you more phone time. How does that work?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, you could get into the nuance of why that could be slightly problematic, but I think at the end of the day, it's just like if you give child candy, you're like, hey, you do this and you get a candy or you get a snow cone. Like it's okay to have those small rewards. But I think that just starting by setting some time apart, even if you have to incentivize it, and it can be small time, right? You don't have to start with we're now not using our phones after 5 p.m. It doesn't have to be like that. But it could be, hey, we're not going to use them at dinner. We're not going to use them, we're going to leave our phones behind when we're going to the theme park or whatever it is that you might do as a family.
Nick, what about the age? If you're a parent, what age is an okay age for a child to get that first cell phone? And should it be a full smartphone or just a flip phone?
So I think the flip phones is going to be a hard sell. When everybody else has got the smartphone. So I think that's going to be a hard sell. I don't know that there's a specific age where you're like, at this age, they're now capable. But as children are growing up, all the way to 15, their brains are still forming. And so we want to be as careful as we can. And so I think that two things. One is maybe wait a little longer than you think you should. Wait until you've heard that drumbeat of everybody else has one for a little longer, hold out a little longer. And then the second thing is set limits early. It's a whole lot easier to set the requirements up front as opposed to have to change them later. That you're going to get a lot more pushback if you're reducing access as opposed to if you start slow, allow them to use it at certain times, and then slowly increase that over time as they start to become more responsible users of it.
Nick, what's a website rather for more information?
We've got some information on process recovery is what you're going to want to look for under softroastrecovery.com, SOPHROS recovery.com.
Very good. Nick Padlow, founder and CEO of Sophros Recovery. Try to detach yourself from your phones. Thank you for joining us this morning. Very important topic. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 54 degrees right now at 8:04. And later this morning, join us for our special guest, New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli. He's going to be on starting at 8:45. And now we go on to our next guest in just a moment. And we're going to be talking all about Mountain Creek Resort in Vernon Valley. So don't go away. You're going to want to know about that. In the meantime, we will take calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s. Mike has the day off. Here is a check of the Garden State forecast right down to your town. And we have a temperature of 54 degrees now at 8:07. In terms of traffic, let's take a look at the Garden State Parkway. We have a vehicle off the roadway on the Garden State Parkway southbound north of exit 67, which is Bay Avenue in Barnet Township. The right shoulder is blocked, and you can kind of see the flashing lights there behind the trees on both sides of the roadway. So remember, we had a lot of areas of flooding because of the nor'easter that we had. So there have been a lot of accidents and power outages reported throughout the region. We also have another issue on the Garden State Parkway. This time it is a crash, and this is northbound on the Garden State, south of exit 130B-A, which is Route 1 in Woodbridge Township. That area tends to get a lot of traffic. Anyways, you can see this is about a half a mile or so before the crash. If you look on the right side, people hitting their brake lights, hitting the brakes as they head on on that roadway. The left lane is blocked as they make their way past that tree that's in the middle of your screen. Also on the Garden State Parkway, we have a disabled vehicle, GSP southbound, south of 136 Stiles Street in Cranford, with the right lane blocked. Other issues we have on roadways right now. Now we have a crash on Route 9 northbound, south of 604 Green Street, Woodbridge Township, the left of the two lanes closed. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, disabled tractor trailer, and this is on the outer roadway northbound, north of Interchange 13, which is 278 Goethals Bridge in Elizabeth. You can see those vehicles kind of bunching up there on the left side of your screen. As a result, the right lane is blocked, and that's causing a bit of a nightmare through there. Your Hudson River approaches. Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 25 to 30 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels now starting to slow down a bit. You have about a 35 to 40-minute crossover time, as you can see. The upper might be a little better choice on the right than the lower, but either way, it's going to cost you 35 to 40 minutes into Manhattan. 8:09 is our time, and fall is officially in full swing, and Mountain Creek Resort in Vernon Valley has you covered. From holding contests to scenic sky rides through peak foliage, the resort has hosted two of the region's most anticipated seasonal events, the 41st annual Oktoberfest and the third annual Fall Fest. Jackie Serra is the marketing manager at Mountain Creek Resort and joins us now. Good morning to you, Jackie.
Hi, thank you for having me. We're so excited to head into the fall. We're so excited to be heading into fall. Our Fall Fest weekends happen every Saturday and Sunday until November 2nd. We offer some amazing scenic sky rides, so you can take a ride to the top of the mountain via our cabriolet and check out the fall foliage, as well as our alpine mountain coasters, which is a quick ride up the mountain, very scenic and fun.
And this year is the 41st Oktoberfest. So what is different about this year's Oktoberfest? What makes it stand out?
Our 41st annual Oktoberfest. It did happen September 5th. I think it was actually the 17th and the 18th, but it was such an amazing festival. We look forward to hosting that every year. We'll do it again next year, and it's a great time with lots of food, drinks, fun, live music, and more.
A lot of people don't realize Oktoberfest is not the month of October. It starts September. This is in Germany too, right? It starts like middle of September and it ends the first week or so of October. It doesn't run the month of October. People think, oh, it runs till October 31st. That isn't the case. So I'm glad you follow the German tradition. That's the tradition from Europe. What can visitors expect when it comes to food, drinks, and entertainment now when they come to the resort?
We've got some great offerings. It's located in the same spot right in our Vernon Bay area. We've got local ciders from Warwick Winery, Pennings from Burnt Mills Cidery. We've got apple cider slushies, fall snacks, and more, as well as lots of activities for the kids, right? Bounce houses. We've got a little hay maze. We've got pumpkin patch, lawn games, as well as guided hikes at the top of the mountain.
You had me at apple cider slushies. Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious. I go for about 7 of those right now. And the events aren't just for adults, right? You mentioned some fun stuff there for the kids too. So what are some more family-friendly highlights from people come?
It's really just a feel-good day, right? You can show up. We've got, bounce houses set up in the back for the kids. There's a hay maze where they can have fun. There's some photo opportunity spots. We've got like giant cornhole, can jam, ladder ball, some giant games for everyone to have some fun. There's tons of picnic tables set up so you can come and you can just enjoy, relax, have a good day, enjoy a sky ride to the top of the mountain. And our alpine mountain coasters are really fun.
What's your foliage looking like now? Because I know it. We didn't have a lot of cold to turn the leaves, and then all of a sudden we got the nor'easter to knock a lot of those leaves off. So how's the fall foliage in Vernon Valley?
Actually, I was looking at it on my way in this morning, and we are definitely in moderate peak. There's still a lot of leaves. I say it's like pretty solid. This weekend will definitely be the best weekend to come out and check it out.
That's good because I feel like we've been cheated as you get closer to the coast and where I am. One of my favorite things in the early fall is when you get the 2 or 3 weeks when you see the leaves. First, a few start to change, then you get the golds and the reds, and before you know it, it's like an explosion. I used to live in North Caldwell, New Jersey, and I remember it would be so bright, the sun would reflect off the yellows so bright that it was almost blinding, and I loved that. It was just like nature's way of saying, "We're here. This is our last holdout." Are there any special ticket packages or VIP experiences that people should know about?
Of course, all of our tickets for Fall Fest are available online. Our scenic sky rides are $14.99. Alpine Mountain Coaster included as an adventure package, $24.99, and all of that is available online at mountaincreek.com.
And for someone say it again?
At mountaincreek.com.
Mountaincreek.com. And for somebody who's never been, what is the one thing you absolutely have to see when you go there?
You have to take a sky ride to the top of the mountain. It's truly spectacular. You've got great views of the tri-state area, looking out into even New York. You can kind of see where the Appalachian Trail crosses over. It's really something to see.
I love that. All right, Jackie Sarah, mountaincreek.com is the website to get tickets and find out more information, mountaincreek.com. Jackie Sarah, marketing manager at Mountain Creek Resort. Thank you for joining us. Always good to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. It is 54 degrees right now at 8:14, and join us for our special guest, New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli, coming up a little late this morning. And when we come back, we're going to talk with somebody who could tell us why Hispanic voters have been shifting hard to the right. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
I'm Jack Ciattarelli, born and raised right here in New Jersey, where it's never been harder for the middle class. As governor, I have a plan to fix our state. In Congress, the only thing Mikey Sherrill fixed is her bank account.
It says she made millions on the stock market, tripling her net worth while in Congress, and was then fined for unreported trades. Is that true or false?
So, I think we made money.
Come on, who wouldn't know if they made $7 million? New Jersey needs a governor who gets it. Mikey Sherrill doesn't. I do.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a nonprofit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16. We're taking calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today with a light breeze, highs mid-60s. Mike has the day off. Here's a check of the Garden State forecast right down to your town. And in terms of traffic right now, we do have a mess on the Parkway. Let's look at the Garden State Parkway. We have a northbound issue, a crash northbound just south of exit 130BA, which is Route 1 in Woodbridge Township with a left lane block. So you can see the brake lights up ahead there by that tree in the middle. See the brake lights? That's just as they're going into that point. The left lane is closed. Also on the Garden State Parkway, which we don't have a camera shot for, but there's a vehicle that was just cleared. It was off the roadway just south of north rather, of exit 67. Bay Avenue, Barnegat, some residual traffic, nothing bad. The right shoulder had been blocked, but it's now reopened. Let's go over to 495. We have a disabled vehicle on 495 as you make your way to the Helix. This is eastbound west of Boulevard East in Weehawken. Look at that mess. So right now you have the left lane blocked, and that's causing those issues. Of course, you have the dedicated bus lane. So I don't know why the bus lane was also stopped. It could just be traffic. But the left lane, which is just to the right of the buses, apparently it's stopped just at the top of the screen as you make your way to that point. People are going to have to get around that. We also have a disabled tractor trailer on the Jersey Turnpike northbound, north of interchange 13, which is 278 Goethals Ridge and Elizabeth, with the right lane blocked. And downed wires on Route 179, both directions north of Route 603 Mount Airy Village Road in West Amwell. All lanes are closed. In terms of Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland both reporting 30 to 35 minutes across now. GWB upper and lower level very heavy now with about a 40 to 45 minute crossover time making your way into Manhattan. 8:20 is our time. New Jersey's governor's race between Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli shaping up to be much tighter than expected. And one major factor is the rising influence of Latino and faith-based voters. In 2024, Latino support for Republican candidates grew significantly, driven by concerns over the economy, public safety, and values rooted in faith and family. These voters could tip the balance in a state long considered safely blue. Joining us this morning is Mary Thomas, CEO of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, which has spent over a decade building connections with Latino churches and communities here in New Jersey. Good morning to you, Mary.
Good morning, Ken. It's great to be here with you.
Nice to have you on. And boy, what an appropriate time to have you on. Why do you believe that Hispanic voters have been shifting so sharply to the right here in the Garden State?
Yeah, Hispanic voters, just as you mentioned, they are looking at the kitchen table issues. They're looking at the rising costs, groceries, energy, inflation, and they're also looking at their schools. We're seeing kids, New Jersey schools used to be at in second place, basically, and now have gone to 12th place. So there are a lot of issues that are affecting people's families every single day.
And Latino support for Trump jumped 15 points in 2024. What changed? Were it all those factors?
Yes, it was actually all of those factors and looking at whose values align most, whose values align most with faith, family, and freedom. Those are the ideals of the Hispanic community, and those are the ideals of America as well.
I've always said, because I'm libertarian, and I've always said over the years, I'm part Argentinian, so I understand the Latino vote. I listen to Spanish talk radio, etc. Puedo hablar español también. And over the years, I have said to people, the left keeps getting further to the left to the point that you think you're taking for granted African American and Hispanic voters who, if you sit down and talk to somebody who's Latino, they come from a Latin culture, and you tell them that, we're going to be okay with men showering with little girls in locker rooms, they're not going to say that's okay. So I've been saying this for like 10 years, and I also speak as a gay man here, okay? I'm like, guys, you don't get it. You're pushing way too hard. And now it feels like it's coming home to roost. What would you say the key issues are right now for Latino and faith-based voters, especially with just 3 weeks from today is Election Day?
Yeah, I think you have to look at whether the voters want more of the same, which we've had. The state legislature has been controlled by Democrats for over 20 years. We have Governor Phil Murphy, he's in his second term. And what we've seen under the Democratic administration is high taxes, high corporate taxes, high individual taxes, high, basically energy costs. Like people barely can't really afford to live their everyday lives, and that's not the way it should be for hardworking people in America. So you can choose between the status quo, which is Mickey Sherrill, who's more of the same, or someone in Jack Ciattarelli, who has actually posed a plan for reducing corporate taxes to bring jobs and to get the economy roaring, cutting energy costs by allowing, the free market to control. So there's really a big choice. And also on the social front, we look at Mickey Sherrill. She supports sexual orientation and gender identity education, just as you were talking about. African American voters, faith voters, Hispanic voters don't agree with this. She supports that for grades kindergarten through 12th grade. That's extreme, and that is not where the people of New Jersey are.
And again, speaking, I say I don't mean to sound Pollyannic. Speaking again as a gay man, I'm dead set against that. It's like I don't understand the progressive far left. They think that by falling over themselves to go way beyond the left, that somehow that satiates their causes. No, it's extremist. It's extremist by any standards, including, listen, you think you're talking on behalf of the LGBT community. You're not. You're talking about 1/1000% of the community that has some issues psychologically. I'm sorry to say it, but it is what it is. And it's still, transgenderism is still considered a disorder by the American Psychological Association, and yet progressives want to change all the laws to embrace what is 0.1% of the U.S. population that has a psychological disorder. I'm sorry, it sounds mean, but it is. I'm just seeking fact here. We're not trying to be mean. That doesn't mean you treat people who are trans or whatever any differently. You don't treat them mean. You embrace them. But that also doesn't mean that you let males who believe they're women who are 4 years old shower naked next to your 12-year-old daughter in a public gym locker room or something. No. And I think that's where they just jumped the shark, if you will.
Absolutely. And I think I was just in New Jersey about 3 weeks ago meeting with 50 Hispanic pastors. And I told them, basically just told them the truth, where people stand on the issues. And when they heard about the economic issues and they heard where the candidates stand also on these transgender issues and frankly, education and school choice, they were outraged, and they have, a side that they believe clearly aligns more with their values. Again, faith, family, and freedom for everyone.
Do you think that the Republican Party has done enough of a job reaching out to the Latino community and the faith-based community, or do you think that it's more an issue of the Democrats have just gone so far away that they have literally run away from those communities, and the communities have been left with nowhere to go but the Republicans?
Well, I think it's both. We're certainly seeing the issues, but then we are also seeing groups like ours, the Faith and Freedom Coalition. We're the largest national Christian organization in the nation, and we are working to educate, equip, and get faith voters out to vote. So we have made a specific effort to reach out to the Latino community and to talk to them about the issues that matter to them and to tell the truth. And we're partnering with the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. I'm actually at their meeting at the Museum of the Bible today with hundreds of pastors who just want to know the truth and want the resources to be able to inform their congregations and get them out to vote to protect biblical values and freedom.
Mary, it's a funny thing because I am the quandary for liberals, because here I'm a news anchor, right? So they assume I'm liberal because of that. I am gay, and they assume I'm liberal because of that. I'm half Latino. They assume I'm liberal because of that. And you have no idea how many people I've been privy to private conversation where they're like, look at those conservatives. Blah, blah, blah. And they talk to me like, and I'm like, dude, you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm that conservative or libertarian. I kind of fall in between. And my thing has always been, I'm very deeply religious, always have been. Pam, our director, also, and we talk our faith every morning whenever we work together. And I think that a lot of people on the far left have just given up on all of those things, and they just assume that they're a majority. And America is still a very religious place.
Absolutely. And Hispanics, if you look at church attendance, it's higher than the general population. But just as you said, America was founded upon Judeo-Christian values. We were founded as one nation under God, right? And that is still what the majority of Americans believe. 62% or more of Americans identify as Christian.
And I think the idea that the Democrats have literally made it their mission to cancel faith, the idea of the misinterpretation of the separation of church and state, which doesn't even exist in the Constitution. The definition of being that it's basically antithetical to have religion in this country. No, the country was founded on religion. Our laws were founded on our religious values, Judeo-Christian, on the Ten Commandments. That's why most courthouses have the Ten Commandments still there, except for the super liberal cities that fought to get them removed. There is a reason for that. Western tradition and Western law is based on that, but you have people on the far left who want to get as far away from it as possible. Why? Because of control. If you don't have a God in the picture, then we have the ultimate power, or they specifically have that power. Mary Tom, I could talk to you all day. A CEO of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, it's a pleasure to have you on. Please don't be a stranger. We want you back again.
Thank you so much, Ken.
You bet. Have a good day at the Museum of the Bible. If you haven't been there, by the way, even if you're not religious, if you just like history, the Museum of the Bible is cool. Pam, have you been? Go to the Museum of the Bible. It is a Pam, come on, you got to go there. It is a cool place. I promise, even if you don't believe, well, you might come out a believer, but if you don't believe, you'll find the most amazing facts. Everything from the printing press was basically printed for or created for the Bible. We wouldn't have modern printing and publishing if not for that. Anyway, it's a fascinating place. I urge you to go. 8:30 right now. I want to remind you at 8:45 you can join us for our special guest, New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli. And coming up next, making informed choices of the ballot box has never been more important to help New Jersey voters get ready. AARP is launching a statewide effort to provide trusted, nonpartisan information about the candidates and issues that matter most, from healthcare and retirement security to caregiving and community safety. Phone lines are open. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy, light breeze today, highs mid-60s, the full Garden State forecast in a minute. You're watching New Jersey Mornings. We're coming right back.
We vote to protect the Social Security we worked hard for. We vote because family caregivers deserve support. We vote to have a say in our future. For all reasons why, AARP has information about when, where, and how to vote. Find the information you need to make your voice heard.
Countdown to Election Day, presented by AARP New Jersey. Visit aarp.org/NJ Votes.
And a very good morning. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. We have 54 degrees now, 8:32. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Mostly cloudy with a light breeze today, highs mid-60s. Mike has the day off. Here is the electronic version. Mike with the Garden State forecast. By the way, for those who didn't realize, we had 71-mile-an-hour winds during the nor'easter at Barnegat yesterday. Pretty intense. 8:33 right now. Let's take a look at the GWB approach here. This is a mess this morning. We had Lincoln and Holland both much better with about 25 minutes across. GWB is going to cost you about 35 to 40 minutes at this hour. As we head into a critical election season, making informed choices at the ballot box has never been more important. To help New Jersey voters get ready, AARP is launching a statewide effort to provide trusted, nonpartisan information about the candidates and issues that matter most, from health care, retirement security, to caregiving and community safety. Joining us now is Chris Oidello, who is State Director for AARP New Jersey, to tell us more about this initiative and how AARP is helping voters feel confident and informed before they cast their ballots. And for transparency, we want to mention that AARP New Jersey is one of our sponsors. Chris, good morning. Welcome. Good to have you on today.
Good morning, Ken. Good to see you.
You bet. So why is AARP prioritizing voter education for this election cycle?
Yeah, AARP has a long history of voter education. We've done this for decades. Just to clarify, AARP is nonpartisan. We don't support any particular candidate, any particular party, and we certainly don't contribute to any political action committees or campaigns. But we do educate our members. We have 1.2 million members in the Garden State, and we let them know what candidates are saying about issues that matter to them most. And you laid out a number of areas where we have interest in this upcoming gubernatorial election. And so we educate not only our members, but we also let the candidates know what, the pulse of 50 plus, what they're thinking, what their concerns are, and, and make sure that when people head to the polls on the 4th of November, less than a month, they have some quality information on helping them make a decision when they vote.
And also, for full transparency, I'm 58 and I've been a member since I'm 49. So I'm an AARP card-carrying member myself. And honestly, yes, what you are saying, for anyone who has not checked out AARP, if you read the literature, it's impossible to tell what side of an issue you take. You are as down the middle as anything and any organization I've ever seen. It's amazing. What are the biggest issues you are hearing about from AARP members in New Jersey?
Yeah, sure. When we looked at some polling this past spring, when we talked to our members and the 50 plus in general, affordability is the top issue for New Jerseyans. And it's no secret that this is an expensive state to live in. But our, respondents to this poll cited things like property taxes and also utility affordability as being two of the barriers that prevent people from aging well here in New Jersey, because it becomes unaffordable when you over 90% of people who were polled, both Democrats and Republicans, said affordability is a top issue, especially when it comes to things like property tax. And 48%, so nearly half of them, said that they've considered leaving New Jersey in the last year because of how expensive it is to be here. Great state, but it does take, it is an expensive place to live.
100%, and especially for retirees, where I live in northern New Jersey, I have so many friends who've said, we love it here. We don't want to do it, but we're going to have to sell our house and move to the Carolinas or move to Florida, and it's so sad to hear that after people have spent decades in a home in New Jersey and raised a family, that they can't just stay in their home until, in their golden years. So yeah, that is such an important topic, of course. And how does AARP ensure that the campaign remains strictly nonpartisan?
Sure. So, that is something that we are not being nonpartisan and being, not tipping our hand either way is incredibly important. Is I think the most important thing that we do. And so one of the ways that we do that is we ask the candidates to respond to a voter guide. So we interview them, each candidate, and so in their own words, they are able to respond to questions that we have. So AARP sets our policy. We have a policy book where we have a position on many issues, ranging from the ones that we just talked about to healthcare and beyond. And then we present our policy positions to the candidates in advance. And then when we do interview them, or we, produce a video voter guide, we'll be launching very soon. We are hearing the candidates respond to our position in their own words. So there is no, there is no confusion as to whether or not this is in fact a candidate's position. But again, our goal is to educate candidates educate the public and let them hear directly from the candidates on things like you mentioned, property taxes, utility rates, healthcare, and caregiving, which are just incredibly important to people in this election. And, the 50 plus vote is going to carry this election. They are the most influential voting bloc. And so we want candidates to pay attention to these issues and respond with positions that are that people can, take in and decide when they head to the polls.
Yeah, Chris. And by the way, something else that I want to praise AARP about is the fact that you still have a printed resource. Your guide, your monthly guide is printed. And the reason I say that is because my parents are 87 and 94. My dad will be 95 in a few weeks. They don't like to get online and look at things. I do. I go to the website all the time.
Right.
My parents like the fact that AARP mails them because they were also card carrying members and have been for many decades. They like the fact that you could still get a printed guide from AARP. So talk about again some of the different resources that AARP offers to help voters make those informed choices. You mentioned a few now. You mentioned the voter guide. What other resources do you have?
Sure. So we have, we obviously have our publications that we do mail out. We have a magazine and we have a bulletin that goes out to select portions of our membership on a regular basis. And then our magazine is distributed to all AARP members. We also, but our online platform allows us to really get information up quickly and, and keep it updated in real time. So, we do have a website, aarp.org/NJ votes. And on there, you can find information on our video voter guides, which we conduct with each of the candidates running for governor, and also information on how to vote, where to vote, when early voting takes place, when you can request and the deadline for an absentee ballot. So we want to make it a one-stop shop. So if you have questions going into this election, you can find AARP resources about that. And we also link to our elections division here in New Jersey if you're looking for further information or you have specific questions that can't be answered by what is on our website.
So being that you led right into that, let me put that on you. What is the most common question or concern that you hear from older voters when it comes to elections?
Yeah, I think we hear essentially is, where do I vote? When do I vote? Making sure that they understand, I think everybody now is kind of conditioned to when election day is, but with early voting and the opportunity to use a mail-in ballot, they just want to make sure that they have the deadlines correct. And I think one of the things that we have stressed is sort of the process of filing that mail-in ballot to make sure you do it the right way, that you seal it the correct way and sign it and, all the steps that are required. Usually it's just the mechanics of it that we need to, provide some guidance with. And it's, again, outlined on our website, and you also link to the state's website for further clarification. But we also know that they always do remind us that, older voters vote. So, they're proud of the fact that, that they are going to be the deciders of this election as they have for the last number of elections.
Yeah, we always hear with each election cycle, rock the vote, young people get out, and there's always that one mass of young people out at a rally, and you think, oh wow, they're going to influence the election. Then you find out that only 2% of them actually show up on election. That doesn't mean that that'll always be the case, but it's just the fact that older people tend to vote in much larger percentages than younger people. So the message definitely can be made, and people need to get out there. If you could early vote. That's another thing I wanted to ask you about. How are older people, or are they embracing the idea of vote by mail and early vote more? I know a lot of people were reticent about it in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's become, a good convenience, right? That, people, just because they are older and they may be retired, doesn't mean they're not busy. It doesn't mean that they don't have other obligations. And so I think it's just another option that they don't, if they're not able to get to the polls for whatever reason, that they know that they have some options to either vote early, right? And take advantage of voting in person during that period of time. Or, if there's a need, they can request a mail-in ballot. So I think it's the convenience, I think, is becoming something that a lot of voters, all voters, are now appreciating.
Yeah, and what's a website once again for people to go get AARP's election guides, compare candidates, and check all the important deadlines?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank all the candidates for taking the time to respond because it really just helps everybody make an informed decision. So it's aarp.org/NJ votes.
All right. For more information on when, where, and how to vote, please visit once again aarp.org/NJ votes. Chris Widello, State Director for AARP New Jersey. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, Chris, it is 8:43 right now. We have 54 degrees, and when we come back, we will be joined by New Jersey Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs in the mid-60s, and we'll take your calls too. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
Jack Ciattarelli, born and raised right here in New Jersey, where it's never been harder for the middle class. As governor, I have a plan to fix our state. In Congress, the only thing Mikey Sherrill fixed their bank account.
Well, did you make $7 million in stock trades at all?
I haven't. I don't believe I did, but I'd have to go see what that was alluding to again.
Come on, who wouldn't know if they made $7 million? New Jersey needs a governor who gets it. Mikey Sherrill doesn't. You do.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
I'm Jack Ciattarelli, born and raised right here in New Jersey, where it's never been harder for the middle class. As governor, I have a plan to fix our state. In Congress, the only thing Mikey Sherrill fixed is our bank account.
Well, did you make $7 million in stock trades at all? Or?
I haven't. I don't believe I did, but I'd have to go see what that was alluding to again.
Come on, who wouldn't know if they made $7 million? New Jersey needs a governor who gets it. Mikey Sherrill doesn't. I do.
We vote to protect the Social Security we worked hard for. We vote because family caregivers deserve support. We vote to have a say in our future. For all the reasons why, AARP has information about when, where, and how to vote. Find the information you need to make your voice heard.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSD, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
A very good morning. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:47, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs in the mid-60s. We will be talking to gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli in just a moment. In the meantime, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the day off. We check, though, with the Garden State Forecast electronic version right down your town. And it is going to be a cloudy day today, but much better than yesterday. The temperature now 54 degrees. And boy, for those who didn't realize, depending on where you were in New Jersey, the way the weather was over the last couple of days, you had down the shore in Barnegat, 71-mile-an-hour winds, and we still have a lot of flooding down the shore that folks are dealing with, a lot of power outages as well. 8:49 is our time. Election Day, November 4th. Exactly 3 weeks from today, New Jersey residents will choose a new governor for the Garden State. The Republican candidate for governor, former New Jersey State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli, joins us live right now. Good morning. Good to have you on, Mr. Ciattarelli.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for having me back.
You bet. And during the second and final debate, let's get right to it. You know, this is what everyone's talking about. Your opponent turned to you and all but accused you of being a murderer. Not that you may have misled, literally said you're responsible for tens of thousands of deaths, saying that your former medical publishing company knowingly published false information regarding opioids. And she said that that resulted in the deaths of thousands of New Jersey residents. Now you're suing the Cheryl camp. And Cheryl is now doubling down, saying that she's dumbfounded. She doesn't know why you're suing her. Talk about what went through your mind when she said that, because you could see it was like an insult to the heart when she said that to you.
I think she cracked, Ken, quite frankly, the pressure of the exposure about what happened at the Naval Academy, where she was punished severely, not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony, not having her name listed in the commencement exercise program. The revelation that in her 6 years in Congress, she somehow tripled her net worth, but can't explain how. The New York Times reporting that while sitting on the House Armed Services Committee, she's trading defense stocks, and also the lies all throughout the campaign that she's been called on the carpet for. I just think she cracked. And if you'll notice, she had a press conference yesterday, and she refused to say it just as she did at the debate, because I think she realizes what the hell she's done. But listen, we're not letting her get away with that line. We're filing our defamation suit today.
All right. And you know, when we had you on WOR radio a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about the whole, actually it was before the second debate, and we talked about the military situation with Mikey Sherrill. We actually had a caller, a gentleman who was a graduate of the Naval Academy. And I was under the misconception that it was part of the honor code that you had to turn in your classmates. This gentleman said, no, it's not part of the honor code, which then made me wonder, so then what caused her not to be listed and not to march in her graduation ceremony? Because it wouldn't have been that. So now that leads to bigger questions, which is why I'm assuming you're asking that she release her full records from the military academy.
Well, kudos to you, Ken. You're picking up on something a great many journalists missed. The honor code at West Point is that you have to turn in classmates who're cheating. That's not the honor code at the Naval Academy. And it says you won't tolerate lying or cheating, but you don't have to turn in those that did. She's saying the reason why she's punished because she didn't turn in classmates. That's not the honor code. And so all she has to do is approve the release of her disciplinary records so we can know exactly why it is that she was punished. I believe that if those records were released, we'll find out that it's one of two things. She either cheated or she lied to investigators.
I'll throw out a third. Her husband went to the military academy. He was apparently tied into the whole thing with the cheating, and then he sued in order to march. I mean, I don't know this. What if she was hiding something, not being able to turn him in? I mean, they were boyfriend, girlfriend, and that's what went in the back of my mind. Throwing it out there, don't know. I don't have any facts, so I don't want Cheryl Camp calling and saying, where did you get that? It just seems logical to me. I don't know. But on October 20th, go ahead.
Yeah, she says the reason why she doesn't want to release her disciplinary records is because she doesn't want to have anything said about fellow classmates. There's nothing about fellow classmates that are in her disciplinary records. What's in her disciplinary records is why she was disciplined.
And for the record, you did not go out and look for these records. Somebody else put in the Freedom of Information Act, which, by the way, should have been something that the media had done for years, looking into the background of Mike Sherrill. And, of course, the left-wing media committing the malpractice that they always do for the left. They never bothered investigating in the past, and so that's why it's coming out now. You previously ran for governor, of course, in 2021. You shocked many on the left by losing by only 3 points. October 27, 2021, a week before the last gubernatorial election, there was a Monmouth University poll that said you would lose by 11 points. They were off by a whopping 8. How do you feel doing this time around with 21 days to go?
Well, give Monmouth credit, Ken. After that terrible poll, they got out of the polling business because it was an embarrassment to the university. We're seeing the same thing this time around, although much less numbers, 7 or 8 point margin out of places like Quinnipiac and Rutgers. The universities don't make the necessary investment. Those that do all have this as a dead heat or up by a couple of points. All I could say, Ken, is compared to 21, the energy is off the charts. It's electric. And when you're being endorsed by prominent Democratic mayors across the state, it says that people want change. There isn't a single Republican that's endorsed my opponent, but yet there's prominent Democrats who endorsed me. People do not want another 4 years of Phil Murphy's failed policies. What they want is change.
We just had on a member of the Faith and Freedom Coalition who represents a lot of Hispanic voters in New Jersey, and she was saying how the Hispanic support for the Chiarelli cap for you folks is enormous. And that's something that 8 years ago would have been unheard of, that Hispanic voters are shifting far to the right because they just see the Democrats have just gone far to the left in terms of morals and faith values.
Ken, they want economic opportunity, they want good public schools, they want safe communities. Those are three things that have all been abysmal failures of the past 8 years, and my opponent hasn't put forth a single plan on how to address those three major issues in this year's campaign. I've been very specific about how to fix those problems, and I've spent a great deal of time in the Latino Hispanic community and have been very, very well received. They're waking up to the fact that the Democrats, who always try to portray themselves as the party of the disadvantaged, the marginalized, the minority, it's promises made, promises broken every 4 years, and that's why they too want change.
Now, your background is a mix, of course, a very successful business person, government experience too. You're a state assemblyman. How would you say that combination of experience influences how you would govern in Trenton?
Ken, it is a very unique background, and that's not to be immodest. The family's been here for 100 years. 3 generations of us have achieved the American dream here in New Jersey. We've all been job creators and business owners. I'm an MBA CPA, and I've also had the honor of serving at every level of government, terminating myself each time, not even taking the pay or the benefits at the municipal and county level, didn't take the benefits at the state level. So very unique background. What it does is qualify me as something that knows what's going on here in the state of New Jersey, knows what needs to be done, and I'm willing to get it done on behalf of New Jerseyans.
Now, you've had 2 chances now to speak directly to voters on the debate stage, one last Wednesday and one at Rider University with ONNJ. What do you hope that people took away from what they heard?
There's a very stark difference between the two of us. I'm from New Jersey. She's not. I know what's going on. She can't even identify what the issues are. And when specifically asked, she gives these platitudes and generalities and hardly ever answers the question. The only specific proposal she's come out with, a state of going to declare a state of emergency to freeze electricity rates at all-time high. There are 77 incumbent Democratic legislators, 52 of which are on the ballot this year, and not one has endorsed her plan. Even the governor of our own party went on TV and said, I don't think you can do that. It's illegal. So this is somebody who's never been more ill-prepared or unqualified for the job, Ken.
Yeah, I pointed this out on both my radio and TV shows over and over again. New Jersey has 8 of the 12 or 9 of the 12 congressional seats are Democrats. The governor's a Democrat. Both U.S. senators are Democrats. State Assembly, State Senate, both controlled by Democrats. Even the state Supreme Court controlled by Democrats. And yet Mikey Sherrill thinks she, as a Democrat, can come up with a plan to help stop the skyrocketing energy costs when it was her party shutting down 6 power plants in the state for the most part that helped lead to this problem. Everybody loves to talk about the regional grid that we're part of, but that regional grid has such high prices because it's supply and demand, right? Once you shut down those 6 plants, now there's less power going into that regional grid.
He not only shut down the 6 plants, he put an unofficial moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation. Our plants are only at 50% capacity. He didn't expand our nuclear footprint in South Jersey, didn't accelerate solar on the rooftops of all the warehouses that have gone up, which are prime real estate for solar arrays, and then bet it all on wind. And here we are almost 8 years later, not a single wind turbine producing electricity, nor will there be when I'm governor. It's a very, very costly, unreliable source of electricity. Not to mention the fact that our Jersey shore is sacrosanct. Nobody wants those wind farms, and we're not going to have them. I will reopen and repurpose the plants he shut down. I will lift the moratorium on natural gas fired. electricity generation plants. I'll expand nuclear, accelerate solar on rooftops of our warehouses. We will become an electricity exporter once again, just as we were when Phil Murphy took office. When we have to import it, to your point, we're buying it through these exchanges and paying through the nose. And I'm telling you, people are pissed.
And that is definitely the voice on the ground. People are pissed. And being a New Jersey resident, I see it firsthand. By the way, we have invited the Mike Sherrill folks on, and we've not gotten a response. We've invited them several times. They are still welcome to come on, and we will give them as fair an interview as humanly possible, so they're welcome to come here. New Jersey voters,
Hey, Ken,
mail voting is on right now. Yes.
Don't feel singled out. She's been refusing opportunities left and right and ducking joint appearances all around state, and it's catching up with her.
It's the Biden run for office method. It seems hide in the basement. Again, the mail-in voting is on right now. Early in-person voting starts October 25th through November 2nd. Election day itself, Tuesday, November 4th, 3 weeks from today. Republican candidate for governor, former New Jersey State Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli. Thank you so much for your very valuable time for joining us this morning on New Jersey Mornings.
Ken, thank you. Looking forward to next time.
You bet. It is now 9 o'clock, mostly cloudy today, a light breeze, highs mid-60s, and that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Check us out again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for On New Jersey Mornings. Have a good day.